ahead, Michelle.
Okay. I listened to your press conference after the last game, and you talked about how if it's one thing to fix, you attack it, you can fix it, but with different games, it was different things. So how did you go about assessing what was your biggest need and the biggest thing to work on, and then going from there?
I think we're still trying to find an identity. Like, if you look at our stats, we're kind of flat with our opponent in just about every category. So, for example, last year we were really poor at rebounding, and we were really good at turnover differential. So, like, we could kind of hang our hat on creating some turnovers, taking pressure off our offense that way. And the rebounding was always an issue, but this year it seems like there isn't like a weakness that's so obvious, but we just haven't really had something that we could hang our hat on yet. So, but outside of that, it's how we finished halves in 2 games. The first half of the Baylor game and first half of the Syracuse game, and I thought our defense through the first 4 games was really good, even though our offense struggled some. But then in the last 2 games, we gave up 55%, 60% from the field. So you're not going to win a lot of games, with those type of numbers. So, Baylor game, we turned the ball over 10 times in the first half, and so we got to avoid these areas of the game that are hurting us, within each game and lessening our chances of winning.
Did you think that it was mostly effort or lack of just guys maybe having lapses of focus on defense, or?
I think with the Syracuse game, they were pretty hot, and Boeheim was hitting shots, and I don't know. We have to. The other thing is we got to avoid guys having career highs versus us. I think the kid Swider, coming into that game, his percentages were really low, and his stats were really low, and he gets 19 and 11, hits a bunch of threes, and then the Loyola game, the big kid had 22 or 24, and he was averaging 6 a game coming into that. So avoid guys that haven't really been getting a lot done, and avoid them having career nights versus us would certainly help. I think the third game we were pretty fatigued in that second half. I felt like we were, and it's tough when you're playing 3 straight days and you're not winning. It becomes a little bit demoralizing, and I think that might have been the case, late in that third game.
We talk about mental preparation. It's obviously something you do all year long. You don't pick your spots, but being the position you are right now, is there maybe a little more emphasis on the mental side versus the X's and O's?
Just don't want anyone to get comfortable losing, and that's we I think did a wonderful job of that following the game on Friday and Saturday. There wasn't much conversation on that flight home in the airports but then the day off Sunday, guys needed it. Even Monday, it was guys took a while to get loose. Playing again that many games and that many minutes over a short period of time. And but I thought the spirit was good the last 2 days, especially today. And I think guys are excited to play at home and play a Pac-12 game more.
How about Marcus? What's his status for tomorrow?
Yeah, Marcus is still we're evaluating him. He's consulting with our doctors and his doctors, and we're trying to get a plan in place. And so tomorrow, he won't go tomorrow. But again, I've tried to keep saying Marcus is moving well. This isn't something that's going to be an issue for his career and something long term. It's bad timing that we had this little flare up, and we just got to get it right so that when he does get back, we give ourselves the best chance to have no further setbacks.
Between Luther and some of the other guys, Marion, you guys are struggling a little bit to shoot the ball. Is that the types of shots, or what do you think about just kind of how the offense is operating in that way?
I would say Marion probably had to take a few more tough ones late clock that have probably contributed to where his numbers are some, but he's still getting some pretty reasonably good looks. I think Luther's gotten better looks and some open ones, and just he hasn't found his rhythm yet, and surprising because I've watched him shoot for a few months, and I think he's a way better shooter than he's shown, and he knows he's got to figure it out and get going.
What do you say from Washington State so far as you prepare for them?
They're a good team, really good team, and I told our guys they're as good as any team that we faced terms of their, their front court is athletic. They're young, but they're talented, and they challenge shots, and they rebound the ball very well. Offensive rebounding team, and then the guards. So Flowers and Roberts and Noah Williams. They have a really nice perimeter. So they got good players, and they've had a lot of success already early. So it's going to be a huge challenge for us.
Do you think with all the newcomers on the roster, maybe this schedule was a little ambitious, given that you had so many new guys? I know you like to play those teams.
I mean, it's not like so much like football that it's planned out all these years, but it was kind of, this Atlantis event was a couple of years in the works. So, and we felt happy to be in that type of event. It felt like every team we played and every team that I watched there, was an NCAA tournament team. So get to play that level of competition, it's hard to pass up. I might have scheduled that San Diego State game a little differently just to avoid 4 straight games like that, but there's nothing I can do about that now.
Coming into the season, Enoch and Jemiah were both guys that you kind of saw making an immediate impact, and to start the season, they've been in the rotation and making impact, getting minutes. What are your thoughts on both of those guys to start the season?
You said Enoch and
Jemiah.
And Jemiah, yeah. Well, I mean, Jemiah has been just ready, when his number's called. If I put him in the game, he's enthusiastic, he's happy for the opportunity, and he tries to make the most of it. I think he's got a really bright future, and just excited to watch his development unfold, and really provides a spark defensively for us. And then Enoch, I thought, took a big step. He was probably the biggest positive on our trip to the Bahamas, just how he competed at times and rebounded, and he appears to be catching up to the speed of the college game and getting his legs under him more after all the time he missed. So, I could see his role continuing to expand, as the season progresses. But, both of those guys have really, bright future in the program.
What would you like to see more of structurally or fundamentally with what you're doing offensively?
I think the ball, needs to go inside more. I think we got to get, the ball to Jalen Graham some if we can, and even Kamani in the mid post and Enoch, and just give those guys a chance to get some more high percentage shots in our offense, and maybe play a touch more inside out, and Alonzo too. I'm still learning about him. How can we utilize what he brings, and as a new guy, and because he's got again really, I think, really good upside. If we could figure out ways to make him more effective on offense, take pressure off the guards, and having to shoot so many threes. But we didn't take a ton versus Loyola. They guarded the line well after I think we made 15 versus Syracuse. I thought they are a really good defensive team.
What do you think about just having to play a Pac-12 opponent like right now, after kind of the way that the season started and difficulty of the schedule?
Well, I mean, it's not only a Pac-12 team, but I think it's one of the more underrated, watching the film and in terms of their talent, and they're a program that's kind of knocking on the door, is with Kyle Smith doing a great job recruiting and bringing some talent in there. So certainly would like to have maybe a cushier opponent for us to really get our feet under us and get some confidence back. But the other flip side is we played some really good teams, and we're used to playing good teams, and we'll see another one tomorrow night.
As disappointing as that week was in the Bahamas, do you think Enoch made somewhat of a significant jump just from the week before to that week?
I really do. I think I touched on that a little bit earlier. Just his, there were a lot of good athletes there, a lot of size, and he's still a work in progress, learning as he goes, and he's not going to be mistake free, but he had pursuit of the ball. Like around the basket, he was trying to get offensive rebounds, trying to get defensive rebounds, and trying to contest shots and provide us with a presence in the paint, and I think he's starting to figure it out. He's in the really infant stages of starting to figure out what he can do with his body and how he can impact the game.